Hey everyone, welcome back to day 7 of Algorithmas. So today we're going to be doing the permutation check, which is another algorithm featured on Codility. Now, permutation is essentially a collection of elements, so in this case integers, where it's a perfect sequence going from 1 to whatever the length is. So for example, if we have a look at the first one, we have 1 and then a 2 and then a 3 and a 4. So that is a permutation because there aren't any missing elements here. Whereas here we have 1, but there's no 2, and then it goes 3 and 4. So this second element, the second collection is not a permutation, and essentially we're going to be checking to make sure whether the array, for example, we've been given is a permutation or not. So let's get started. Okay, so you can see that for our input we're taking in an array. So I think the first point of call would be to try and make this a little bit more workable, so convert it to a list. So I'm going to call it sample list equals a dot to list, and so that should allow us to make our sample list a little bit more manageable. And we just need to replace our using statements here with collections and link, because we're going to be using some link syntax. Now our sample list is just a list right now, but we haven't sorted it because we do need to sort this into ascending order. So again, we're going to use some link syntax here, which is order by, and we're going to order by each element. So this should allow us to return an ordered list that's in ascending order, so 1, 2, 3, 4, for example. And then once we've done that, all we need to do is iterate through this list and just make sure each element matches what we expect. So if we get a 1, it matches a 1. If we're expecting a 2, then it matches 2. So a good way to do that is with a for loop. So I'm just going to create a quick for loop here. So we're going to start at 0, and we're going to go up to the length of this list. So I'm going to do count, and every time we go up, we're going to increment this x by 1, and that should be good for us. Now, what we need to do next is just make sure we're checking, so we're asserting that the value is correct. So if we just do a quick conditional here, and for each value in our sample list, so what I'm going to do is sample list and then the index, so that would be whatever x is equal to, and I'm just going to make sure that it's equal to x plus 1. So what does this mean? So let's say x is 0 right now, so if the 0 indexed element in our sample list, so that's the first element, we expect that to be a 1. If it's equal to x plus 1, so 0 plus 1 is 1. So if 1 is equal to 1, then that's fine. If the next element is 2, then the index for 2 would be where x is 1. So sample list index of 1 is 2. Is that equal to where x is 1 plus 1, which is 2? Then that's fine as well. We just keep going. However, if this is not true, then what we want to do is we want to raise an exception. So I think what will be better is if we check to make sure if this is not true, like that. So we just replace that double equals with an exclamation equal. And if it's not true, then we want to return, I believe it's a 0 if it's not a permutation, so we return 0. However, if this iterates through without raising any exception here, or if this condition doesn't return a 0, then all we want to do is at the end of it return 1. So we're just going to give that a quick run, and okay, so we can't index that, but what we can do is instead, if we were to just convert this back to an array, maybe that would work. Okay, there we go. So you can't index a list in the same way as you can array, so we just make sure that this is converted to an array in our check. So what we're going to do is we're passing both our sample tests. We're just going to submit this task. Okay, we probably shouldn't be converted to an array every time. I would just convert it to an array before I run the for loop. So this might affect our performance a bit. Okay, so you can see that for our solution, we did get 100% correctness, but we got 16% performance. And I suspect that is because we're going to get a timeout, since we were converting to an array every single time in our loop, which is a really, really bad way to do it. I shouldn't have done it, but again, that's actually a good point of learning, where you can see that if you're dynamically converting between data types rather than just doing it once, it massively affects your performance. So you can see here, we timed out on a couple of these, so this caused us to fail, even though the overall answer was correct. We got 100% for our correctness. So there's nothing wrong in terms of the output we're getting. It's just the performance isn't very good. And that's something that is really, really important to take into consideration when you try and come up with your own solution. So that was day 7, guys. We've got another 23 more days, so stay tuned, subscribe to keep updated, like the video to support content, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.